Thank you for staying with Citizen Extra. At least 5 companies in Kenya have been hit by a fast-moving encryption-based virus attack that uses a ransomware known as WannaCrypt O or 0. I'll be clarifying that, amid warnings by tech experts underlining the vulnerability of local firms. It is expected to get worse as about 80% of the country's large and small organizations' backup systems run on Microsoft Windows, which is the malware's target. We're getting into this discussion very shortly. My guest in studio is William McCarty MD Seriano. We want to, for those of us who are not tech savvy or IT gurus, for lack of a better word, explain what this exactly means and what this means particularly for a normal computer user or email user. William?
Yes, so again, thank you very much. Again, WannaCrypt is a very, very, very lethal application. And when you think about applications, you do have different applications that you can download or use on your phone, use on your computer. So when you think about a malicious application, the difference is its intention on your system is not really for any good purpose on that particular system. In this particular case, the WannaCrypt application comes in, identifies the critical files that you use. Maybe it's a Word document, maybe it's Excel files that you're using. It encrypts those files and then limits your ability to actually be able to access. So pretty much it puts a password around it, or encryption if you're going technical, but simply a password which limits your ability to get access to those files until you pay money using bitcoins.
And companies affected, what kind of losses do they experience when they're hit by this virus?
So in the region, actually in Africa, what we've seen in the past few days, the losses have just been the sense where some computer systems have gone down and they've been able to arrest the issue before it affects the main servers. Typically what you'll expect if your network is vulnerable, and what vulnerable means is if your network allows this particular malware to move across the network, you can actually not be able to transact any transactions. If you're a hospital, you'll not be able to get insurance calls, you'll not be able to admit patients. Even X-ray systems that rely on computers will not be able to get processed if you get hit by this particular malware.
So just taking us back to this virus, what the intention of the perpetrator would be when they launch such an attack?
So it's twofold. If you really look at the history of this particular attack, these individuals picked some files that were leaked from the CIA and the US authorities a month ago. And what they've done is they've gone out and picked the files that were used to spy on some systems, some international systems. On top of that, now they've taken this encryption / the WannaCrypt software, and they're using it now to take over those systems. So while there's a huge need in terms of what these malicious people are looking for in terms of money, there's also a need to show that the way the US government is using some of these systems has an impact. And it's pretty much to show a level of activism that yes, we have these systems, yes, the US is using these systems, but we can also use them to do all these attacks. We've had ransomware attacks. In fact, in Kenya, the most popular attack is Loki. Loki has been attacking organizations in Kenya for the past almost 2-3 years. And what you're seeing now is people are now using the same approach that the US uses for its investigations to go out and get all these different organizations attacked.
So how do organizations scan their networks for the presence of this virus?
So the virus is very complex, and it's not your typical virus, it's not your typical everyday virus. So there are certain IP addresses that these perpetrators are using. There are certain IOCs. In security lingo, an IOC is an indicator of compromise. And what that means is someone else has seen these IP addresses, someone else has seen this file being downloaded, and therefore we are able to share that information. In our particular case here, since Saturday, or rather Friday evening, we've been working with a lot of organizations, giving them all these different IP addresses, giving them all these hashes where they can go look at their firewall, look at the different intrusion detection systems, look at their different SIEM or log management. And again, I'm getting technical, just in a sense to be able to address what they're doing. But high level, it requires continuous monitoring, because the evidence on your network will not be apparent unless you look at the different identities that we've seen on other networks. And therefore it's a complex way of looking at it, but that's the only way for networks.
So this is not new. This is a common narrative, at least not maybe specifically with this particular virus, but this has been experienced before within local firms. Yes,
so we've had cases where some organizations have had ransomware attacks and they've even lost access to their environments. We've had to wipe the entire network and deploy new systems. So it's not really new. What is scary is the number of systems that are vulnerable. And if you think about vulnerability, Microsoft releases new patches every other month. So around the 14th or second week of the month, Microsoft will release patches. If you don't go out and patch your system, then you'll be vulnerable to these attacks. And that is why it now becomes a major, major challenge. This is really a wake-up call to organizations that when you're told to patch a system, you need to patch it. Otherwise,
what does patching mean?
What patching is, I'll give you a very good example. You build a very good house. You build a wall around that house. It starts raining. For some reason, it floods. And you notice that the wall from one side starts falling apart. What you do in that particular case, you're worried that somebody will come in and maybe attack you using that wall. So you go out and get whoever helped you, or maybe you get somebody to come in and patch that particular, if it's a block or if it's part of the wall, and cover it so somebody doesn't come in. The same thing happens with all these software to use. If you have a Windows system, when they develop that system, there are weaknesses that could come because maybe someone has identified a weakness or the way you use that particular system, and you have to patch that area so that someone cannot attack you. So patching are the new updates that you get from Microsoft or from different vendors that are able to come and help you so that you're not attacked.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense now. Thank you so much for your time. We've been talking to William McCarty MD. Unless there's any other clarification you'd like to make, William, as regards this particular virus and how to protect yourself from it going forward, I think you've been pretty clear. Is there anything else?
I think high level, I think it's very important we back up our systems. Even the end users, you have to back up your system. You have to patch your system. And don't connect onto networks that you're not very familiar with, otherwise you become vulnerable. For the very technical environments, there are ports and there are different tools you can use to be able to protect and continuously monitor your network. And if you do that, what you call computer hygiene, if you consistently observe the computer hygiene, you shouldn't be a victim of some of these attacks. As much as they're lethal.
And just digressing a little bit before we close, William, cyber heists, and here within the Kenyan banking system, cyber heists and the fact that a lot of people have been victims to ATM fraud, and now with the online banking that has also been seen as an issue that is on the rise. Tying this to that and how consumers that bank with local banks can protect themselves.
I think as a user, if you're going, and again, there's just so many malware. There's a lot of malware, malicious software out there. So this particular attack might be the one that we're all paying attention to, but there are so many other files that were released from the same individuals that released this NSA attack. So there are tools we are seeing now where people are harvesting. If you connect to a wireless network that is not secure, somebody can be able to get your password. Somebody can be able to get your one-time code that you're getting from the bank. And therefore it requires, if you're going to do transactions, be it through mobile or through internet banking, then you have to make sure that you're using a system that is clean, consistently managed, and therefore don't give this system to you, be it the children in your house or other people, to play games or download suspicious software and expect to use banking on the same. If you notice something suspicious, again, we've seen that the regulatory authority, CAK, has been very aggressive in terms of confirming numbers and hotline, and therefore we have enough processes to allow you to look at that. What you need to do is be careful. Don't click on links you don't understand. Don't go into suspicious websites, and always maintain the hygiene of your computer if you're going to use it for transactions.
Thank you very much for breaking that down for us. Many thanks for joining us on Citizen Extra. After that conversation, we're now going to be joining Brian.